Good afternoon. My name is Mary Leighton. I'm a provincial organizer with Dogwood. I was born here in Vancouver, but I grew up in Saudi Arabia. I've been to 45 countries, learned 4 languages, and I used to think that this was the ultimate privilege, to be able to travel anywhere. A few years ago, though, I moved back to Vancouver. I saw sturgeon on the banks of the Fraser River. I caught and ate salmon from the mouth of that river. I collected huckleberries from the North Shore. And I began to learn about the First Nations people who were here long before my grandmother moved west from the prairies. I learned that many of the salmon streams from here up the coast were actually created by Indigenous people. And I took it to heart when Coast Salish poet Lee Maracle spoke to a crowded Queen Elizabeth Theatre this spring to a largely non-Indigenous audience, and she said, "You belong here because you are here, but that comes with responsibilities." And I no longer see mobility as the ultimate privilege, as millions of Syrian refugees must agree, and countless others who have been dislocated from their homes due to events that intersect with global warming. True privilege is being able to stay in a place because it sustains you. And in turn, to take up the responsibility of sustaining it and enriching it. Happily, I've found work and camaraderie with an amazing group of people that give me hope, because they're betting all of their time and energy on the conviction that citizens brought together to defend the land and water that give their lives meaning can overcome the CEOs of corporations like Kinder Morgan and their lobbyists. This group includes my parents, my 2 brothers, my best friend Kath, my neighbor Hisao, I think 100 people or more in the room today, and over 250,000 British Columbians that I've never even met. As well as partner groups and allies, many of whom are also here today, that share our values and our conviction. After growing up in a petro-monarchy and living in many countries with corrupt governments, I'm actually very grateful to live in a country with a fairly functional democracy. And I know that many of us this October voted Liberal. I voted Liberal because I felt comfortable on the Kinder Morgan issue when Justin Trudeau explicitly said in his run for election that he would overhaul the review process for pipeline projects. Including projects that were currently under review, including Kinder Morgan. I don't see an overhaul. I see 3 people with no decision-making power, or even the power to issue a recommendation. I see no audio-visual recordings, or even a transcript. I see no transparency over how our spoken messages will be transmitted, or the weight of them, let alone our thousands of written questionnaire responses. This is not the leadership that I and thousands of other British Columbians voted for in October. I voted for Joyce Murray, Liberal MP of Vancouver Quadra. I want her to stand up for me on this. Jody Wilson-Raybould, Liberal MP in Vancouver Granville. Last week you said that citizens would accept and respect the policies and decisions from governments if governments treated those citizens fairly. Is this broken commitment fair? No! Harjit Sajjan, Liberal MP in Vancouver South. You were elected to replace pro-pipeline Conservative MP Wei Young. You told me about your kids and wanting to make the right decisions by them. Hetty Fry, Liberal MP for Vancouver Centre, where we currently are. Where do you stand on this hasty process? I encourage you to visit your MPs, particularly if they are any of the 4 Liberal ones in the city of Vancouver, or Pamela Goldsmith-Jones in West Vancouver, or Terry Beach in Burnaby North Seymour. Visit them, phone them, tweet them right now. Tell them this is not the leadership that we voted for. This is not the commitment that their leader made. And ask them, what are you going to do about it?
You're here. The honeymoon's almost over.
So why are we put through this process, I wonder? Maybe it's an attempt to appease us. Maybe it's political cover for a federal approval of Kinder Morgan in December so that Justin Trudeau can say that communities were consulted. Or maybe, with the election, the federal election so far away, lobbyists from oil and gas leaning so hard, and the appeal of a quick financial boost so appealing, maybe this is a political barometer. So, shall we check the weather? If you are wholeheartedly opposed to the Kinder Morgan expansion project, can you raise your hand? If you recognize this project as woefully inadequate to make a decision in December, can you raise your hand? And would you stand up if a federal approval of Kinder Morgan this December would be just the beginning of your fight?